What's up, everybody? It is Flamin' Ricky Gervais right here on WrestleHavoc Daily. Of course, it is Wednesday, November 8th, 2023, and we got a lot of things to talk about right here on the show. Of course, the big news that we are going to be talking about is NXT, and it has been officially announced that NXT will be moving to the CW network starting in October of 2024 with a new 5-year television deal agreement, and we are going to be talking about that and much more. We're also going to be talking about SmackDown. As we all know, SmackDown will be moving to the USA Network in October of 2024 as well, and the Fox CEO talks about why they did not renew WWE SmackDown. We're also going to be talking about the NBA television rights and how that could affect the future negotiations with Raw, as well as possible negotiations with AEW and Warner Brothers Discovery. So we're going to be talking about that as well. We're also going to be talking about the men's WarGames match. Yes, the first match has been officially announced for Survivor Series in Chicago, and it will be the men's WarGames match as Team Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, main event Jey Uso, and Sami Zayn will take on the Judgment Day, consisting of Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio, Damian Priest, and JD McDonough. So we're going to be talking about all that and much more right here on WrestleHavoc Daily. We're also going to be talking about the Collision ratings. The Collision ratings came out for the show, and it's safe to say they are not good. As well as Roman Reigns. Is he going to show up at Survivor Series? And from what it looks like, Roman Reigns is not set to appear at Survivor Series, and I'm going to be talking about as to why that is a negative in my opinion. And we're also going to be giving you guys a preview of tonight's AEW Dynamite. So all that and much more right here on WrestleHavoc Daily. Of course, it is Wednesday, November 8th, 2023. Before I get on with all of this craziness on WrestleHavoc Daily, please make sure to like and subscribe to the WrestleHavoc channel right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the freaking referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Also, if you guys want, you guys can follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and also subscribe for more content right here on the channel, right here on YouTube. All right, let's get started up with the news, and of course, we're going to be starting at the top with NXT. Yes, the third brand in World Wrestling Entertainment, and it has found a new home, and that new home is going to be the CW. And it has been official, and from a press release that WWE put out yesterday, November 7th, 2023, it states that the CW network will be the official home, or the official broadcast home, I should say, to WWE NXT in October of 2024. The 5-year agreement marks the first time in its 13-year history that NXT, which showcases WWE's hottest up-and-coming superstars, will air on broadcast television. WWE NXT will debut on the CW network in October of 2024 and air 52 live weekly events throughout the season, so it's going to be a live show. And in a quote by the president of the CW, Dennis Miller, he states, "We are thrilled to welcome the WWE brand into the CW sports portfolio as they play an integral role in our mission to bring live sporting events to the network year-round. WWE NXT is a perfect fit for the CW thanks to its dynamic young talent featuring the hottest rising stars in the sport and exhilarating, unpredictable weekly events. The passion and engagement of WWE's fan base is unmatched, and we are eager to grow that audience as WWE NXT's new home on broadcast television." In a quote by the WWE president himself, Nick Khan, in a quote, he states, and I quote, "The CW has made impressive moves over the past year with its live sports programming schedule, and it's a truly exciting opportunity to expand NXT's audience by bringing the show to broadcast television for the first time in NXT's history." So, overall thoughts, I think this is a great move from WWE, and I honestly believe, you know, as a lot of people are talking about NXT, I mean, I haven't watched the show, and I'm actually contemplating on starting to watch the show because I've been hearing a lot of good things about NXT, with the development of all this young talent, and of course the talent that they currently have, guys like Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams, the storyline between Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes, Tiffany Stratton, and a whole lot more. A lot of talent in NXT, and a lot of people are really talking about how NXT is a fun 2 hours of pro wrestling that you can just really understand and grasp throughout the majority of the show. And heck, some people were even saying that, heck, NXT is actually a much better show than AEW Dynamite, which is actually very shocking to say. So honestly, I'm going to give it a shot. And with NXT moving to the CW, some people may think that this is a downgrade, but there's no downgrade in moving from cable to broadcast. People need to understand the difference between broadcast TV and cable TV. Cable TV is something that you actually have to pay for. Broadcast television is for free. What I mean by broadcast television is NBC, Fox, CBS, ABC. The CW is like right behind all of those 4 networks. So honestly, this is nothing but a good move for WWE to bring NXT to the CW network as well. They're getting paid a shit ton of money for it, so why not? Now, we have an update by Fightful Select, and we have more details behind NXT moving to the CW. NXT will be moving to the CW in October of 2024. NXT was a major domino to fall in the rights fees updates, as now NXT and SmackDown are nailed down. We're told that the deal has been discussed for months, well before the rumors of the NWA and CW started. WWE's side of things said that they felt that things moved very quickly, with one source saying that they are very satisfied with the deal. This was a product that they were not receiving rights fees for just 5 years ago, and have increased revenue by millions for something that they were already producing. The deal was particularly appealing for WWE because they get significant rights fee increase, and now they're on a basic network that widens that possible audience base. On a TKO earnings call, they noted a 70% increase on the rights fees, but WWE sources said that when you factor in the things that they do, and that's all included, they see it as more like a 200% increase. As of right now, Fightful does not have the exact numbers, but the claim from Deadline was that it was double the $15 million price tag. As of right now, the plan is for NXT to remain on Tuesdays. However, there will be more conversations between the CW and WWE in 2024 as the start date gets closer to nail that down. Fightful has been told that the program is expected to remain very similar as it is now. WWE have been very happy with the viewership increases they've enjoyed in recent months, especially with the additions and cameos from main roster stars. From the NXT end, they're hoping that continues, that the deal is hammered out. From a ratings, talent evaluation, and performance standpoint, we're told that those involved in NXT are very happy with how things have been working. Talent that Fightful has spoke to from the NWA side were surprised by this news, with one saying that they were blindsided by it. And there was word that the NWA was working on a deal with the CW, but sources within WWE do not expect that to happen at this point. Beyond that, one of the shows NWA was said to be pushing was a reality series of some sort. Now, it's worth noting, PW Insider reported this afternoon that the negotiations between WWE and CW were ongoing. USA Network, where NXT had resided, is expected to make a play for the NBA media rights, and I'm actually going to be talking about that later on right here on the show. Regardless of where those land, it will likely affect wrestling, as it'll affect available budget within USA Network and Warner Brothers Discovery, and WWE is speaking with multiple suitors for the WWE television rights. So, as you guys all know, with the NWA apparently signed 2 television deals with the CW, and Billy Corgan stated before it was even announced that it was going to be the CW, Billy Corgan stated that it was going to be a top 20 network, and the CW is a top 20 network. And apparently, now do not quote me on this, we do not know the nature of that particular deal, but apparently he was paying for airtime for NWA Power. That's just speculation on my end. Do not quote me on this. That is just pure speculation that may not be true. But I will say, karma's a bitch, because what happened was they had a deal with the CW, and what happened was they ended up doing this cocaine spot with Father James Mitchell, and now they're in hot water with the CW, and from what it looks like, they pretty much lost their TV deal with the CW, and it's no longer going to be on that network. And now we know the news that NXT is going to be a part of the CW network. So at the end of the day, in my opinion, karma is a bitch. But nonetheless, when it comes to NXT, I think it's great that they're moving to the CW. Of course, NXT is growing by leaps and bounds. And now that you realize that NXT has more of a direction than it did, when 2.0 first started, because I feel like when 2.0 first started, a lot of people kind of tuned out of it. But, later on when like Shawn Michaels started to really kind of run things with NXT, you really started to see, the upward spiral with NXT. And now from where it is now, I think NXT is doing a lot of great work and a lot of people are really happy where NXT is. So hats off to WWE. They have a new television deal with NXT, and from starting on October 2024, NXT will be on the CW network. All right, moving on. We're going to be talking about SmackDown. As you guys all know, SmackDown is currently airing on the Fox network, and Fox, the deal was roughly around $1 billion for 5 years, because the main reason as to why they went to the WWE was because of the fact that Fox had lost the UFC. But from what it looks like right now, or actually, no, it was officially announced months ago, SmackDown will be moving to the USA Network, and it is a $1.4 billion deal. And the Fox CEO explained as to why SmackDown was not renewed. I'm reading this from F4W Online. Fox CEO Lachlan Murdoch says that his company wasn't seeing an acceptable return on investment from its TV rights deal for WWE SmackDown. SmackDown will be returning to the USA Network beginning on October of 2024 after spending 5 years on Fox's Friday night schedule. On today's Q1 earnings call, Murdoch explained why Fox decided to move on from the deal. He states, and I quote, "We were not hitting the advertising numbers due to the audience of the WWE for our return on investment to be above the levels that we would accept," Murdoch said, "but also we didn't attribute enough significant retransmission revenue to the WWE either. And so it made sense for us to move on," he continued, "and they've been a great partner for many years, but just quite simply, we're very disciplined, and the Roy didn't meet our pretty disciplined parameters, so we wished them luck and moved on from them." So that was basically the deal. They were not getting a return on their investment, and I flat out said this, months ago. I do not think Fox will renew the WWE, because if you really think about this, when Fox first brought in the WWE, this was before they even sold the WWE network to Peacock. They still had their own network, all that stuff. Fox was literally bending over backwards for the WWE. They brought in a blue carpet, everything for WWE. They had their own show on FS1 with WWE Backstage. They really treated WWE like a big deal, but then over time, you can tell like the Fox deal, it was just kind of there. And really, I think the deal and the relationship with Fox, in my opinion, started to get a little sour when WWE announced that they sold sold for a couple of years the pay-per-view rights to Peacock, and the entire WWE Network catalog was on Peacock. Because if you think about it, before the pandemic started, there was talks about WWE selling their pay-per-view rights to maybe an ESPN or any other pay-per-view provider or streaming service. And then, of course, a year later, they announced the Peacock deal, and that was a separate $1 billion deal. And I believe Fox really wanted to kind of bid on that pay-per-view deal, and they were like, hey, what about us? And if you guys know, when they were on Fox, they had to promote Monday Night Raw, which was an NBCU property television show, and it was kind of weird and funky, all that stuff. But nonetheless, I pretty much knew, in my opinion, that Fox was not going to renew with the WWE, but that is not to say SmackDown is not going to find a home. They already found a home, and they're going to be returning to the USA Network. Even though the viewership is going to be, I don't want to say drastically lower than what they're doing now on Fox, but it is going to be lower on the USA Network. We've seen that with the Raw ratings, but they're getting paid more money, and at the end of the day, that is the top priority with WWE Endeavor and TKO at the end of the day. All right, we're also going to be talking about the NBA rights. Yes, the NBA rights are going to be playing a key role in the future negotiations with WWE and also AEW as well. So this is according to Fightful, and this was actually reported hours before last week's Dynamite, and I really wanted to talk about this because it's very, very, very interesting. By Fightful, of course, and I quote, "With Tony Khan's quote-unquote important announcement, there has been plenty of speculation regarding a potential broadcast or streaming home for AEW. Now, Granted, Tony Khan's announcement was very disappointing. It had nothing to do with television or pay-per-view streaming rights, none of that stuff. It just had to do with the all-in ticket sales. That is it. But as of a few weeks ago, there hadn't been a deal reached between Warner Brothers Discovery and AEW for Max, but WWE and Universal did reach a deal for SmackDown fairly recently. Fightful Select has learned that one deal may affect the other in certain ways. NBC Universal was eager to land SmackDown, which has been viewed as the top SmackDown show as far as viewership and being quote-unquote football-proof. However, sports may play a role in the dominoes falling. WBD contacts spoke with Fightful and confirmed a rumor that we have heard that they expect NBC Universal and USA Network to make a bid on NBA programming rights, which have been a staple for TNT for years. This would likely affect the budget that could exist for USA Network and NBC Universal getting Raw and NXT as well. Now, as we know, a week later, of course, yesterday, they announced that NXT will be moving to the CW. So in this case, it's only going to affect the Raw deal. NBA is expecting a massive increase for television rights in the 2025 and 2026 season. This would also affect WBD's budget in the event that they somehow lose the NBA. AEW and WBD, as far as a few weeks ago, have not yet agreed on a deal which we're told would include AEW television rights, pay-per-view, as well as the library. Those at WBD stated that Khan has a particular value that he believes that the AEW library is worth. Warner Brothers Discovery sources state that we spoke to said that they have been very happy with the AEW partnership and they look for it to continue. When we asked about the viewership numbers that are often the talking point, one source there noted that it isn't anything that the company hadn't anticipated, especially going up against football in the fall. All right, so NBA is looking for a huge increase in their television rights, and apparently NBC Universal is, I believe, the leading bidder. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't even know if they even made a bid yet, but the rumor is that NBC Universal is rumored to make a higher bid than Warner Brothers Discovery. Now, what's interesting about that is if NBC Universal ends up getting the NBA television rights from Warner Brothers Discovery, it's actually going to affect the Raw side of things because right now, NXT is fine. They already have a home on the CW. But with Raw is right now on the USA Network, and with the NBA television rights, that could drastically affect the, Raw television rights, considering, WWE is also expecting to make a big, money increase for Monday Night Raw. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens, but from what it looks like, Raw is probably going to be shopped around by probably different streaming services like maybe Amazon, because I believe Thursday Night Football is on Amazon Prime, so maybe like a streaming service or maybe any other network. Now, Dave Meltzer did state that I believe the lead candidates for the potential Raw rights are either USA Network / NBC Universal, FX, which is, I believe, owned by Disney, and Warner Brothers Discovery. Now, I do not think Raw will move to any Warner Brothers Discovery platform. I think that's a little bit far-fetched, but in some way, shape, or form, it is kind of a possibility. So do not count Warner Brothers Discovery out, but in reality, I do believe eventually AEW will stay with Warner Brothers Discovery. People need to understand, Warner Brothers Discovery, if they don't come with the deal, AEW could easily shop their show around to any other network as well. A lot of people were even speculating maybe Fox could go after AEW, considering the fact that, after they lose the WWE within a year, AEW is a much cheaper show. Like, AEW could ask for more money, but at the same time, Fox could pay significantly less than what they were paying for WWE. And that is the really key that we really need to take ourselves into. But about this whole deal per se, I think Raw will be fine. Now, what's interesting is that if Warner Brothers Discovery keeps the NBA, their deal with the NBA, it's going to drastically affect the deal with AEW, because in this Fightful report, it clearly states that they did not come to terms with an agreement. Now, if you think about this, I do not know if it's going to be... Now, we all know they want to move their pay-per-views to streaming. That has been in the rumor mill for months at this point, and I think it's an inevitability that they will move their pay-per-views to the Max streaming service. Now, the question is that going to be an increase from the current deal that they have, or is that going to be a new deal, or is that going to be a separate deal? Because if you think about it, the Peacock deal and the NBC Universal deals that they currently have for Raw and NXT, those are separate deals. So like the Peacock deal is a separate deal, and the television on the USA Network is a separate deal as well. And I believe the Raw and NXT deals are separate as well. So is that going to be very similar with AEW? We're going to have to wait and see. But it's very interesting. But at the end of the day, I do see either Raw staying on the USA Network or possibly shopping the show around on a different network. And with AEW, I do expect them to stay with Warner Brothers Discovery for the time being. That's what I see happening because the relationship is clearly strong. But it's interesting. You know, these talks are very interesting, and hopefully everything gets sorted out because, of course, right now it's negotiation time with all these different companies and television networks. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on that. All right. Moving on to wrestling-related topics and besides business-related topics, we're going to be talking about the men's WarGames match. Yes, the men's WarGames match has been officially announced. I'm reading this from F4W Online, of course, the people of the Wrestling Observer. The men's WarGames match has been announced for Survivor Series. Adam Pearce announced this past Monday on Raw that it would be the Judgment Day, consisting of Finn Balor, Damian Priest, and Dominic Mysterio, and JD McDonough, taking on Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, and Cody Rhodes in a WarGames match at Survivor Series, which will be taking place on November 25th. The end of Monday's Raw saw Seth Rollins defeat Sami Zayn to retain the World Heavyweight title. The two shook hands, but the Judgment Day soon came out and started their attack. Uso and Rhodes then came out for the save, and Adam Pearce sent out security, and he said he had enough of the game, setting up the WarGames match. Rollins, Zayn, and Uso and Rhodes all have history with the Judgment Day, with Balor and Priest defeating Uso and Rhodes to win back the WWE Tag Team titles on a recent episode of Raw. A rematch between the two teams are set for next week's Raw, and the current lineup for Survivor Series is this: the men's WarGames match that, consisting of the Judgment Day and JD McDonough taking on Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, and Cody Rhodes. Rhea Ripley defending her Women's World Championship against Zoe Stark, which is honestly a very weird match considering the fact that right now Rhea Ripley has absolutely no competition whatsoever. And the Intercontinental Championship as Gunther defends his title against The Miz, which is a very weird match, but Miz can make things look good, and Gunther is just an absolute fucking killer. So that is the current lineup for WWE Survivor Series. Now, speaking of Survivor Series, we're going to be talking about Roman Reigns. Apparently, according to Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Roman Reigns will not be at Survivor Series, and fans will have to wait for a while for his next match after he faces LA Knight at Crown Jewel, which already happened. In a quote by Dave Meltzer, he states, and I quote, "Reigns is not scheduled for Survivor Series, which is notable because it's considered a Big Four event, and he defends at Crown Jewel, and his next scheduled pay-per-view match won't be until the Royal Rumble." That is honestly very weird. Roman Reigns should be on this show. Now, what's interesting is that the men's WarGames match, of course, a traditional WarGames match is 5-on-5. And there's only 4 members in the Judgment Day side and only 4 members on the babyface side or Team Cody's side. So could this be an instance where there's like a mystery member for both teams? And could this be an instance where we could possibly see the return of Randy Orton? Because Randy Orton has been in the rumor mill and he's been out for almost 2 years at this point, which is absolutely crazy to think. Or almost like a year and a half he's been out. And there's been a lot of rumors about Randy Orton making his return. Could we see Randy Orton be that 5th man at Survivor Series? Or could we possibly see an instance where Roman Reigns is the 5th man with, teaming up with the Judgment Day and everybody else? That is just pure speculation on my end, but we're going to have to wait and see. But from what it looks like right now, even though the men's WarGames match has been announced and it is 4-on-4, Roman Reigns is not scheduled for the Survivor Series WarGames pay-per-view. Moving on. We're going to be talking about AEW Collision. The ratings are out, and of course, it's the same day as WWE Crown Jewel. Saturday night's episode of AEW Collision averaged roughly around 366,000 viewers on TNT, down 22.5% from the previous week. It's the lowest audience total for the show since October 7th when it went head-to-head with WWE's Fastlane Premium Live event. Of course, Crown Jewel took place in the same day, but it didn't go head-to-head. This is not good whatsoever. Saturday nights is such a shitty night for a live weekly wrestling show, in my opinion, and I think we have learned from that. Even when CM Punk was there, I know people were like, oh, CM Punk's not there, but it doesn't really matter if CM Punk is there or he isn't there. Saturday night is just a shitty time slot for professional wrestling. Not even a time slot, a day for professional wrestling from a weekly standpoint. Now, from a pay-per-view standpoint, it's great. But with Collision, what we have seen and what the ratings have showed us, what the data has showed us, is that college football is not affecting the ratings for Collision. They may be affecting the ratings a little bit, but that is not really the biggest takeaway from it. What is affecting the Collision ratings greatly is when they go head-to-head with a WWE pay-per-view. There's clearly some sort of crossover with the audiences. It's not AEW fans watching this show and WWE fans watching this show. You have fans that are watching both shows, or the same fans that watch both products, but they're watching one show that is going head-to-head with the other. So that is the biggest takeaway that I can give you. Honestly, man, I genuinely believe this. Collision should move fucking nights. I don't know, man. You know, there's been a lot of talk about Raw possibly moving off of Mondays. Hey, you can move Collision on Mondays. I don't know. That I'm just joking, but you get my drift, man. Saturdays is just not a good time slot. It's just not a good night. It's not a good time slot. Well, it is a good time slot because it's from 8 to 10, but from a night standpoint, no. People are doing stuff. Nobody's going to watch wrestling every week on a Saturday night. Like, I didn't even cover Collision this past Saturday because, again, the show was just not interesting. I literally, the show was not interesting, and I hate saying that, but it's true. It's just not interesting. There's nothing AEW is doing to really get me excited to watch Collision. I don't want to say it's ending up like Rampage, but I'm starting to feel that way in some sort of weeks. In some weeks, I'm starting to feel that way. And I hate saying that, but it is what it is. All right, and finally, we're going to be talking about AEW Dynamite. Of course, AEW Dynamite is tonight, and we are going to be talking about AEW Dynamite, and the full card for AEW Dynamite stands as we have Mark Briscoe takes on Switchblade Jay White from Bullet Club Gold. Swerve Strickland takes on Penta El Cerro Miedo, which is a fucking awesome match that I'm really excited about. We got Red Velvet, yes, Red Velvet, coming from Your Mama's Kitchen, takes on Julia Hart. We also got the ROH World TV title on the line as Samoa Joe defends his title against Keith Lee, which I think is a great match, but is it going to elevate Keith Lee at the end of the day? No, because he's doing absolutely nothing in AEW. And we have the AEW World Championship on the line, and apparently this is not an eliminator. This is a world title match as MJF defends his title against Daniel Garcia. So that is a pretty good lineup, to say the least, for AEW Dynamite. And, of course, AEW loves giving you great professional wrestling. So that is the full AEW Dynamite card. And, yeah, that was, of course, WrestleHavoc Daily right here on YouTube, right here on the WrestleHavoc channel, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Push that bell for notifications. Look out for more videos right here on the WrestleHavoc channel, of course, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And as the friggin' referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. And as always, it is Flamin' Ricky DeRays signing out. I'll see you guys later. Peace.